the Stiff Truth. You should start it.
All right. Well, I think we're going to start. I'm just making sure I got everything down here. Okay. Facebook jail. What the fuck is Easter? NFL stretching the season, having some Ravens. Matt Gaetz is piece of shit. Voting and sexual scandals. Sounds good, huh?
It does.
Fuck yeah.
It sounds fantastic.
Are you monitoring the growth of your penis or checking your phone?
I was measuring from the bottom to give myself an extra inch.
Good. You should always do that. It helps with confidence.
That's right.
Right on. Well, welcome to the Stiff Truth. This is Scott Castelnova, and with me, as always, but that's definitely not a negative. That's quite the positive here, Mr. Bob West. How the hell are we doing, Bobby?
I am Bob West. I'm Bob West. I'm Bob West. I'm
WNBC.
I'm doing great. Easter is, today is Easter, but as far as my family goes, it's pretty much done at this point. We did Easter dinner yesterday, and the family was down. They have all left now. The eggs have been hunted. Everything has been done. So yeah, Easter was good. I had to explain that before you're like, today is Easter. What's going on over there?
That is interesting. I would have to just say that it really seems like you're the kind of guy that just doesn't have time to wait around for Easter. You just like hit that shit head on and get it over with and move on with your life. Yeah.
What are you guys doing for Easter? Oh, I did it 3 weeks ago. It was great.
I got time for that on Easter. Get that shit knocked
Memorial
off.
Day is coming up in like 10 days. It's gotta get 21 out of here.
Well, that's good, man. Now we kind of do things on Easter with like the dinner and whatnot, but let me ask you, did you guys, what'd you cook up? Was it standard ham? Did we just kind of do a favorite around the house that's not traditional?
We did a ham.
Mm-hmm.
My brother-in-law and sister-in-law came and did a green chili corn, which is basically like green chili and corn and cream cheese in like the crock pot. Yeah, so that was pretty good.
Sounds magical.
We made some funeral potatoes.
Wait, what? Funeral potatoes?
Yeah, it's a Mormon dish with like
well, that makes sense already.
Like cubed potatoes, right? So it's just like cubed potatoes, like Papa's, like or Ida hash browns or whatever, like the cubed potatoes.
Yeah.
But then it's mixed in, and then it's topped off with cornflakes, just regular cornflakes to give it like a crunch. That's funeral potatoes. You should look it up. It's a traditional Mormon dish if you want to dig into that a little bit. But yeah, we did cook a ham and we had that, and we did a cake. It was my mother-in-law's birthday.
Oh, damn! Yesterday or
no? I think it's today.
Oh, you guys got that out of the way early too?
It might have been. It might be Monday. It might be Monday. We celebrated it on Saturday.
You're a family. Everybody get together. We got birthday, Easter, knocking that shit out before it's time. I like that.
So we had a birthday cake from Costco and ice cream and did the whole thing. So
that was the little piece of birthday cake in a package that I saw when you took a picture of your organic blackberries, I believe, huh? Like a little bit under that. Looks like he's got a cake in there. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, a sheet cake.
And that's what I focused on in the picture. That was obviously supposed to be the berries, but went right to the cake. Well, good for you. That's good, man. So you had a birthday knocked out, big fat ham. Did we do the Easter baskets today or no?
The Easter baskets were done today. And I think we should pause there. Oh, you're coming back. Okay, good. So sorry, a little technical glitch. We'll keep moving on. But the Easter baskets were done today. And we woke up this morning and we did the Easter Bunny came, and the Easter Bunny magically knows all the kids' sizes and clothes that they want and the little knickknacks that the kids had been asking for. And
oh yeah, this video's bad, huh? Sorry. I'm not sure what's going on here, bud.
Well, I think you should just like hop on out of here and maybe he'll let you back in.
Um, all right, I'll hop out.
Okay. So, we did celebrate Easter, Saturday for the most part, but then today is when we did the traditional Easter egg hunt, and we did the Easter baskets, and all the kids got cards, and an outfit was laid out because the Easter bunny is super thoughtful like that and knows everyone's sizes. How did you guys celebrate Easter, Scott?
Oh, I don't know. I can't get my video to work at all. This is ridiculous. Is it my camera that's broken now? I think it probably is.
Just switch on to the backup camera there and we'll keep moving on.
Yeah, this thing's not working right now.
It's going to be okay.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to roll with the punches because that's what we do here. We just move right along. Nothing can stop us now.
It says it's working, but
you look good to me.
All right. Hold on a second here. Just what are we talking about now?
Your Easter.
Oh, yeah. Well, we woke up pretty early. I want to say like 7 o'clock. It's not super early or anything like that, but we woke up pretty early so we could go out and do an Easter egg hunt that Jamie went and hid all kinds of stuff like around 3-4 in the morning or something like that. God bless her. And then we had a nice bacon, egg, and hash brown breakfast, and then went ahead and had some dessert, which were pretty much bottomless mimosas, and finished about a bottle of champagne. And that's how we do it. That's how we do it around here. It's constant relaxation and indulge. You know what I mean?
So our drinking consisted of margaritas on Friday night. So Friday night was a tequila night when everyone got together. And Saturday was a whiskey night. So whiskey sours, shots of whiskey. So that was the drinking that happened, and the beer that I cracked for this show. But
yeah, no, I'm actually super excited about our cocktails today. Couple of reasons. One, it just looks phenomenal. I'll just go ahead and say it. It's the Raven cocktail. But the other thing I'm pretty excited about too is I feel a little bit dangerous with this one, Bob. And that's just because it's an outlier drink. It's not necessarily in the bartender black book.
It's not in the book.
Made me feel like I was being dirty. You know what I mean? So
like we're having an affair. Like we're having
exactly.
Like we have a side drink.
we got
a piece on the side.
Yeah, we got a side drink, and she's not in the book. You know what I mean? So
she's not. No one knows about her.
No, nobody does.
I mean, she has an OnlyFans, so the internet knows about her, but that's it.
Yeah, I'm nervous because it feels like today we're going to be bringing her home to meet the parents, which I don't know if I'm ready for, but I'm excited about that. And the other thing that's pretty exciting, buddy, I got maybe a little bit overly excited about my authority given back to me on Facebook on our page. I think I mentioned that to you earlier this week. I started getting notifications that I can go ahead and post something if I have any thoughts on the Stiff Truth page, which was really nice of Facebook to let me know that. Probably about 3 or 4 times this week they let me know that, and I was like, I think I'm able to post again. I think I'm out of Facebook jail.
But you didn't post, did you?
Oh, I did. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you don't seem to really care too much about what I do and what I post or anything, or follow me or anything like that.
You posted on the Stiff Truth?
I did. I posted one thing. I just shared something and posted it.
Oh, I didn't catch it.
Yeah, it was something about the ATF. I can't remember what it was now, honestly, but it's something.
Ass to face.
Yes, ass to face. ATF.
Gotta love that ATF. So, well, I forgot what I was going to say there. Never mind. ATF got me all mixed up and flustered because then I started thinking about,
started getting really mad about government
members.
What? All right then. Well, interesting. I'm gonna keep that noted for sure. That The ATF. The ATF makes Bob think about veiny members.
Just super flustered.
Just take that one in or out of context if you want. It doesn't even matter.
So I started watching the Waco series on Netflix, and then you're a strange guy.
You know what though? I do want to talk about, man, is I think both of us had this a little bit right, but I think we're both missing a lot of it. But what the fuck is Easter all about? Right now, traditionally, and in Christianity, right? Easter is the celebration, I guess you would say celebration. Oh, well, yeah, because the resurrection of Christ, the death of Christ, the crucifixion of Christ, and then on Sunday, he rose from the grave. So that to me, I thought that was it. That was the celebration. But you know otherwise here. What did you say it was all about?
Well, so when I was growing up, Easter was just a day that the family got together and we hunted eggs. And there was chocolate bunnies, and Charlton Heston did Moses on TV for some reason. Every Sunday, Sunday night at like 6 p.m., fucking Charlton Heston's on there holding this fucking stone of commandments up, right? So I never really thought about it because we weren't a religious household, agnostic household. So I didn't really know what it was about. Just kind of piecing it together over the years is when I found out about, the resurrection and everything. But then it was also like Moses and the Ten Commandments. So we had that conversation was like, I thought that it was the ending of Lent, and that was the whole 40 days representing the fasting for 40 days that the Jews were wandering the desert looking for a place to go, with Moses leading them for Exodus, like leaving Egypt when he let the slaves out, right? So that's what I associate it with mostly because I get all my knowledge from movies.
Same.
And then you broke down all the Christian stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that did happen. The whole Jesus thing, the Jesus dying thing. That's right. The whole religion based off of it sprung off of that. I got it.
It's really interesting too, doing some research on this, digging in, and then realizing, well, this is the same for all modern holidays too, right? Every holiday that we have. Easter, right? There's a combination of other celebrations, holidays, or just positioning of the calendars that I think they use almost to ride coattails of older celebrations to make sure that they're still popular for what they're celebrating, right? So you've got Easter, goes back to, like, I want to say ancient Germanic, like if as far back as you can reach there, right? To
ancient
some
Germanic and ancient Anglo-Saxon both.
Yeah. So and it's mainly just the celebration of spring, right? The celebration of the new season, the spring equinox. And
so back in the day, before really religion even existed, there was celebrating of every equinox for whatever reason, right? Around the fall equinox is when you have, the Day of the Dead, Halloween, all that stuff. And the spring equinox, you have, the Oestery, the Anglo-Saxons culture was, and the Druids and the pagans all celebrated that. Obviously the winter equinox, the shortest day of the month. So I did see that, like, scientifically, the spring equinox is a time when the night and the day are exactly the same length, right? And then I never knew why Easter always moved. And so there's the worm moon, right? And the worm moon is the first full moon of the spring equinox, and that's when you're supposed to plant. So when the first full moon of spring comes, you're supposed to start planting all your stuff and your crops and getting everything going. And then the Christians matched up Easter later than to be the first Sunday following the worm moon. So that's why it always moves. It's the first Sunday after the first full moon after spring equinox.
Honestly, what's really crazy is I'm 38 years old and I never even realized that. I knew it wasn't always on the same day, but I thought it was kind of just like, what is it, like Thanksgiving? Oh, it's the third Thursday of November, whatever, it fluctuates. So I just thought it was one of those. I didn't know there was so much specific kind of I didn't know it was based off anything specific like that. That's pretty interesting.
I was today years old when I found out when Easter is. No,
Yeah.
honestly, I never cared enough to look at it until the show, and then that's when I saw that the whole first thing, and it was funny too because the full moon happened, and I was just like, oh look, it's like the first full moon of spring, right? And then Jess made a big deal. Oh, that's the worm moon, and I was like, well, what the fuck's a worm moon? She's like, oh, it's when you're supposed to plant, and I was like, you like this is like common knowledge, like you just know this. This is your thing. And then after looking into more of this show, she was 100% correct. It is the first full moon and it is a significant thing and has been for thousands of years for humanity.
Which is crazy too, because again, just the beginning of growth, right, and a rebirth of the environment is part of springtime too. So when you look at even why is the bunny or the hare included in the old Germanic pagan kind of just spring equinox tradition, it kind of makes sense, right? Because the hare, an extremely efficient producer of offspring. Let's just say that, right? So they're just cranking, fucking like bunnies.
Yeah, he's like a Duggar.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. But then you also have the, which I thought was interesting, the Easter egg. The egg represents new life, right? So this all ties together very well. But when you think about it, like we were thinking about it the other day, what the fuck does Jesus being nailed on the cross and pushing a big stone out of the way and leaving 3 days later have to do with a giant bunny running around hiding Easter eggs? It doesn't seem to really connect the dots, but I guess it kind of does now that I think about it. But it is interesting. It's layered here. You got spring equinox, you've got Passover, you've got Lent, you've got Christianity, Easter, all basically the same timing for celebration, and they all like go in a line, a timeline where they just keep springboarding off each other to stay relevant. Every new one.
Yeah, and
kind of weird.
It's interesting how like almost all holidays are lined up with a pagan holiday. So I would assume back in the day it was just to keep the peace and to promote celebrations amongst people with different beliefs and religions, that municipalities started combining things together so that everyone could just celebrate at the same time, no matter what it was. Because that makes sense that all of a sudden, Judeo-Christians and, Jews, modern Christians and pagans could all celebrate on the exact same fucking day when it's the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring. That's a very odd timing, but here we are with everything lining up again.
You'd think, what I think would be pretty cool for an evolution of Easter celebration is, I love the eggs. The eggs are great. They're not going anywhere. I don't know who originally threw those in the mix, but they're pretty fucking cool.
I know a little bit about that.
Oh, please do. I didn't set this up either. I mean, what's going on?
So as early as the medieval times in Europe and Anglo-Saxon and Eastern Europe, they were already dying and eating eggs as treats for this celebration, this Easter celebration. Of course, they were going off of the pagan celebration, right? Mm-hmm. But in the 18th century, was it 18th century? Yeah, in the 1700s is when, at least they first think that they started hiding colored eggs, boiled or what do they call it? I forget. Then blown eggs, right? Another term for boiled eggs in Europe, right? So
interesting.
They dye those blown eggs, and people would go find them, and the Easter egg hunt started. In the mid 1800s, it is when they introduced chocolate and candy into the mix. So because the postal service got cheap enough that they could actually start sending greeting cards and all of that, and then Cadbury started making Easter eggs, chocolate eggs.
Those are really good eggs.
They still are. And up until that point, chocolate was more of a drink, right?
Like Yoo-hoo?
Yes, it was more of a bitter, dark chocolate, not a whole lot of sugar in it. It's a bitter drink.
So it's got a lot of that cacao in it.
That's right. A lot of cacao. So
I don't know why that's so funny.
It's like some Lightning McQueen. Cacao. I'm an idiot. So that's kind of the little history of the eggs and how it started getting into the modern ish times of a couple hundred years ago, introducing the candy and the greeting cards all into it. But it's funny how Easter is one of our oldest holidays, and just in general.
No, I do think it's pretty interesting too. But yeah, like you said before, I mean, I don't think it's any surprise too that the winter solstice kind of celebrations, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa are all around the same time too. Just makes sense. It's how you do things, man. And so you don't create too many riots, I guess, right? In cultures, let everybody celebrate on the same day, so they don't know what the other person's really celebrating. They're just celebrating, so they think it's their holiday. I would imagine, right?
Yeah, and it makes it easier for the merchants.
We all live in
You
our own
know.
bubbles. Yeah, that makes sense.
They can prepare and sell everything just for one day instead of having all these holidays and supply and demand. Just drives prices crazy.
Hey, a fun little fact here too that you probably don't care about is today is the second most sales for candy over Halloween, which is not really a surprise with all the chocolate and bullshit you have. You would think maybe Valentine's Day would be up there, but I bet you that's a strong 3. I bet you that rounds out the top 3 right there. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, yesterday, so Jess made a pinata in the shape.
I tell you, she is crafty. I think we've highlighted that a couple of times on the show before, but kudos to that. Did she use toilet paper or tissue paper?
She used newspaper and
Okay.
like flour and water.
Okay.
So
okay.
she made an egg-shaped pinata that was about, I don't know, maybe 16 inches tall, maybe 12 to 14 inches wide, and then she put it all in like tissue paper and it stuck up, and it was a pretty impressive production of this pinata. So the kids are busting that out, but inside of this pinata is like at least 5 pounds of candy.
Wow.
So the kids went ape shit. And to your point, yeah, we bought a good $30+ worth of candy just for the pinata.
Yeah. There's a lot. I tell you what, I think my favorite, and this even takes anything on Halloween. Halloween's my favorite holiday, but those goddamn Reese's eggs, because it's so much peanut butter in those ones, dude. Those are the shit right there. The Reese's eggs, buddy.
Oh, dude, I like the Robin eggs. I love me some Robin eggs, or the Reese's eggs, like the little small ones that come in the milk carton thing.
Yeah.
I'm into those too. I love Easter candy. Easter candy's the shit.
Well, just so you know, since I've taken my camera off anybody for your viewing pleasure, my shirt looks a little fucked up and I keep getting like a green tint to me, like I'm about to throw up and I'm ill. It's pretty nice. Oh, it's good stuff. But well,
it's okay. The show must go on.
No, I know it's all good. This camera is a piece of shit. Everybody that's out there. Bob has the same one though. I think I just have a lemon. That's all I think. God forbid, right? God forbid. Hey, what do you think about the news out of the NFL, my friend? I know we beat it up, and I think today's the big day, right, where we go through our pre-draft kind of sequence and everything, like a mock draft for everybody.
Our special draft show. We've teased it enough. Get Easter out of the way so that we can give our draft analysis. No, it's okay. We'll only go through the first 5 rounds.
Yeah, we're not going to bore you guys with a bunch of bullshit. But no, in all seriousness, pretty big announcement last week here. Not 2 announcements, actually. I'm going to start with even a more positive one than the one we're going to bring up here, because this, I mean, it could be translated that it's a negative. I'm sure some players think it's a negative, right? But Roger Goodell did say that they expect fully, right, as of right now, for every stadium to be able to fill at max capacity for the start of the 2021 season. That's good stuff. That's good stuff, baby. That's good stuff. And that's not that far out. We got to remember, we're already here April 4th.
Do you only get to go if you have your
vaccine card? I believe that could be a possibility. Now, if this was a public thing, it'd be unconstitutional, but they're a private business. So I think that's, to be seen.
Are they? They have an exemption.
Interesting.
So they definitely have some government oversight that goes on with the NFL. Anyway, I didn't want to get off into that. I just thought it was, an asshole move.
Oh, you're an asshole. So that makes sense.
17 game season, huh?
Yeah, that's the big news. That's the big news, baby. So essentially, Bob, we've talked about this before. It's really not a huge difference in our minds. I mean, we talked about it earlier this week. They're going to a 17 game season versus a 16, whereas prior, everybody that knows football knows that there was 4 weeks of preseason. They've literally just shaved off 1 week of preseason and tacked it on the end. So call it what they did is they made one preseason game actually matter, and that's really all they did. That's
So they're still having 5 months straight of games.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Because it's 20 games but instead of 4 preseason and 16 regular season, it's 3 preseason, 17.
Yeah, you basically have a regular season game now that leaks into January, is what it is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And it's funny because like for the owners, it doesn't do much. It doesn't change for them. It's always at the expense of the players and like their bodies, right?
Hey, well, I mean, I've heard some, and this is the criticism that I've heard so far, I guess is from players mostly. I'm not really, I'm not, and again, I don't know if I really understand. I mean, I understand the criticism, what they're saying. I just don't think it's really like a big deal. You're going to play that preseason game anyway. The only difference is, in my mind, is that 4th preseason game, the starters maybe play 1 series at the beginning of the game and maybe 1 series in the second half. So, okay, that game, you actually got to play all 4 quarters. So I guess that does raise their probability of injury, but I don't know. It's not a showstopper to me, but I can see why they did it from a fan perspective. It gives you 1 more solid week way late in the season for everybody to be involved in football, not just the teams that are kicking ass and that are in the playoffs. So I look at it as a very good thing. To me, it makes the NFL season longer.
What's it going to do to fantasy? It's going to change some playoff scenarios.
It definitely will, right? Because we literally have 1 more game that can matter that prior some people would have been knocked out already or whatever it may be. I think it's interesting. I think it's a good dynamic.
Yeah, because a lot of leagues will go until week 16 because no one likes their championship there with a bunch of players taking off on bye weeks and all that because they're getting ready for the playoffs and they've already locked their position. And so a lot of leagues in their league on week 16. Right. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just going to change a little bit. That's just the nerd in me.
Well, I'll tell you what else is pretty fun to think about too, is anybody watching the YouTube video right now, besides my sudden dip in quality and clarity and resolution, which I mean, whatever. But I'm sure people again are like, okay, they've talked about fucking Easter. They've talked about the NFL, and Matt Gaetz is in their background. We're sneaky. That's all I gotta say.
I'm sure people can put, 2 and 2 together and figure out what's coming.
Well, maybe it already came. I don't know, on something that wasn't mature, huh?
But the question is, can you break 100? Anyway. So that'll be interesting to see the changes in football.
Well,
your team's still looking for a quarterback, and I was just seeing an article the other day about Colin Kaepernick's coming back around. Would you want him on the football team there? I mean, under Ron Rivera, it seems like he might be a pretty good fit for that kind of system, and you don't really have anyone.
Here's my thing. We do have Fitzpatrick, which is great. He'll be usable for the 1 year that we have him, and then who knows what's going to happen to him. I imagine he's probably going to end up leaving, or we're going to get rid of him like the last 3 or 4 teams did after they got him for 1 year.
He'll probably retire, dude. I think he's like 39.
He's 30, he's 37, 38, something like that. Yes, he's close to retirement age for a normal quarterback, Tom Brady. But anyways, I would take him purely off of a talent in addition to the football team cohesiveness. Somebody can throw the ball deep. Somebody is good as, somebody that is a veteran, so to speak. Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's been in the league for a while. He's been out for a little while. The only thing that really sucks that I even have to say this is some of the drama that he would bring to DC just by being there. And it's purely political drama.
Press conference every day.
Yeah.
Or at least reporters asking questions every day.
And one thing I do know, and this may have changed, if you've noticed, it's not that again, it's a bad thing, but I do have to point out the obvious 180-degree pivot that the Washington football team has done. image wise. You know what I mean? Not only have we dropped the name, but we went as far to do some kind of historic things. I believe we hired the first black, what is it? I know that's the first black, like, I can't remember exactly. Somebody in the front office is the very first time that somebody of that position has been a person of color. Great. Then we hired somebody else on our staff too. It's the first woman in that position. Cool. I see what we're doing. You know what I mean? Let's just face it, as an image thing, we had a bad image. We looked like we were a racist piece of shit team. And now they're doing things 180 degrees the other direction to image wise look like that's not the case. And I'm not saying that is the case or isn't the case. I'm just pointing out the dramatic changes and decisions we've made that I think race and diversity were at the forefront of their decisions. Is that a bad thing? No, but I just say that because prior to them changing the name, I don't think we ever would have picked him up because he still had these controversies about kneeling and everything, you know. Now I see there being a 50-50 chance where it does make sense from more of a diversity type move, an image move, more so than anything.
Well, he runs the read option just like Cam did, and Ron Rivera knows how to use that skill set pretty well. So I know it wasn't in our notes, and we didn't really talk about it. I was just saw an article yesterday about him, so I figured I'd get your opinion.
It's funny,
you put you on the spot live on the air because that's what we do.
It's pretty funny though. You're all like, oh, watch this. Watch what happens when I ask him something that's unscripted. And I'm just like, next question. Hey, Scott doesn't know what to say because he didn't have time to rehearse this answer like our friend will be talking about soon. And by just so everybody knows, we had to bring up, and we're going to talk more thoroughly about it after we go get our drink, Mr. Matt Gaetz, because, and I'm not saying, and I kind of want to distance myself a little bit from him, but he used to be a friend of the show. Remember, Bob? We've mentioned him numerous times.
Yeah. And I was just like, you were saying that a second ago and putting you on the spot, and it just made me think, hey, Scott, what do you think about Colin Kaepernick? Well, you have to, take something that, it's got to be something you hold near and dear. And anyway.
That was actually pretty good. Oh, you know
yes.
what I'm trying to say over there.
Anyway. Anyway, let's go get a drink.
All right, buddy. Sounds good.
Cheers, Scotty.
Oh, cheers all the way. Cheers to your tits.
Cheers for fears.
Oh, it's a great band.
Cheers for beers.
Cheers. Go ahead and recline that thing all the way back. Pour yourself a nice little bottle of bubbly. Hi there.
Hey there, buddy.
How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good.
So I'm giving my camera another shot. We had an argument after we left for the drink break, and we had some makeup sex, and I decided to give him one more try. So, camera's back.
Cool. Let's
Hey, look at those. They look very much like the Baltimore Ravens colors.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, it's a nice looking
cool
drink.
looking drink. Let's
give
it a go.
Bottoms up, buddy.
It's stiff.
Dare I say pretty damn stiff. Okay, guys. So Bob, actually, God bless him, brought this drink to our attention today for the show. So Bob, I want to thank you again for that, because I think we had talked about this post-show last time, but I was like, we really need to stiff up our cocktails, man. This is the stiff truth, dude. We've been doing some pretty Nancy cocktails lately with, I mean, geez, I think the last one we had like 3 different liqueurs in it with some mixer. That's not what we're all about, Bob. So you got back to business.
You shouldn't have to follow up your cocktail with a shot of whiskey.
Yeah, that's usually not that stiff, but Bob came up with the Raven here. It's not necessarily what I would call in the black book bartender book, but you know what? Some drinks just aren't. But look at that.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it's like a nice. So cool. Look at that. It's like a nice deep bluish purple, dude.
It's like
really cool.
Just drinking like purple and cobalt. I don't know. It's fantastic looking.
Well, let me give everybody the stats on this one, because this is a dandy here. We're talking pretty hefty stuff, guys. We got an ounce of vodka, ounce of rum, ounce of blue curacao, Then after you mix that in a nice little shaker, get that all poured into a highball glass or a small little glass like I got over here. Then you top it off with an ounce of blackberry liqueur or Chambord if you want to get down with it. I have the Chambord, and it is pretty goddamn strong.
Yeah, definitely strong. Since it's all a 1-to-1, I just went ahead and did a whole shot of everything.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
But I also made Jess one too in the lowball glass, and then I took the prettier one because TV movie magic.
Well, that's how you do business. Now she knows.
But if you're trying to just like this has to be, we have to revisit this drink on Halloween. We have to.
I don't know why we didn't think of it on Halloween. It's a dandy. It is a damn dandy. What did we do on Halloween? I don't remember what we did on Halloween.
I can't even remember. I know
I think we did some kind of like Black Death or vampire type drink, or I don't even remember. Obviously, it was a pretty good cocktail if I can't remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll have these again on the show. I almost guarantee it.
Yeah. I will say this. Taste wise, from just this is super scrumdiddlyumptious. I'm not going to put it up there with, say, like a Harvey Wallbanger or one of those ones that's got more of the citrus kind of appeal. But circling back to some of our strongest drinks that we've done, I'll just throw the Raven right into that conversation. You know what I mean?
The Rusty Nail and
the
Italian Stallion. It's definitely in that class.
Yeah, I mean, let's just face it. Somebody that's ordering a Rusty Nail or an Italian Stallion probably is not going to follow it up with one of these just because of the Chambord, I would imagine, right? Their palate's probably not going to go from Scotch, heavy Scotch and Rusty Nails, licking pennies kind of shit to blackberry brandy, so to speak. But who knows? I mean, if they're drunks, they probably don't care what the fuck it is at any time. You know what I mean? There's got alcohol. I'll down that shit.
Yeah, and I think there's some room to play with this too.
What are you saying? That the Raven's kind of loose?
No. Just that the base of rum and vodka is something to play with. I would say that maybe you could even mix in another clear that adds a little bit more context to it, like a Malibu. And give it a twist of coconut, and you could probably mix in some things and play around with it, and not fuck with the color, because you don't want to fuck with the color.
No, the color's money. I just got to show it again. Look at that. It's cute, isn't it?
It's
really cute.
It's probably the most beautiful drink we've ever made.
That's a bold statement, but I'm going to agree with you. I think it is.
Yeah, it's right up there. It's like that, or like the Mai Tais. A well-made classic Mai Tai is really cool looking. The Manhattan Sour was a really cool looking drink as well, with the egg white and the floated red wine.
I will tell you this: out of the cocktails that we mentioned, though, that are really strong, this one probably has the most calories. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. Yeah, but pretty damn good.
Yeah,
we're not counting calories here on the Stiff Truth, buddy. If that were the case, we wouldn't be drinking booze. Moving right along. Now that we're done reaching around for the Raven, because he deserved it, or she. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna go gender here. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a history on this one.
We really don't. We don't have a history at all.
Kind of a shame. It's probably a good one.
But I'll tell you what. Let's just go ahead and step into our main event here, and that's somebody that we've good friend of the show in season 1. I'm just going to say that so me and Bob have a little bit of separation from the man right now, because there's a chance Mr. Matt Gaetz could be involved. Well, geez, Bob, I've heard child sex trafficking, sexual allegations, very general, with a minor 17-year-old. Bob, you brought this up to me. So what was your first whisper on this little matter here? Because it seems like it's getting more dynamic and complex as we move by day.
So there's a GOP elected official in Florida, right? And he was under investigation for sex trafficking. No, not Gaetz. I forget the other fella's name.
This guy?
The main guy. No, it was a Quagmire, even though they have similarities, I'm sure. So that investigation actually led them to Matt Gaetz as they're investigating this other guy for trafficking minors. So Matt Gaetz is being accused of basically hiring underage hookers from this guy, right? So now, if they're a trafficked minor, they're probably not a hooker as much as, I don't know, an unfortunate, like a sex slave, or like what do you even, what's the potential there? It could be disastrous, right? So I don't really know the circumstances of that. I just know that he's being accused now of sleeping with an underage girl, and also they're looking into him paying for sex from women from this guy that is being investigated with like a lot of felony counts of trafficking. So it's a really bad look for this for Gaetz, because he's basically not offering up a whole lot of like why he didn't do it.
We could just say he's not really offering up much detail on anything. You know what I mean? It's very weird, broad stroke generalization answers he's giving anyways. It's very strange. I mean, you had mentioned too, the interview with Tucker Carlson, pretty icky in the feels there. I got a little uncomfortable myself near the end.
Tucker asked him for the details, like what's going on here? When did this start? When are the allegations from? And what did he say?
Oh, he's like, well, he did this actually. He did that thing verbatim. Like, well, I can tell you that it became, an issue March 16th. Like pretty much. You're like, great. So you got caught on March 16th. Let's back up a little bit there and let's start with the genesis, all this, but you couldn't really get that out of him. Everything was very rehearsed. And I didn't even see the interview when we had talked about this earlier in the week. I watched it today on YouTube. God bless YouTube. Just right. Dude, I put in Tuck, just not even the K on Tuck. And it had Tucker Carlson, Matt Gaetz interview. I was like, there we go. People are talking about this. Apparently CNN's not the only people that thought this was strange. Right. But it was odd. And then we talked about this prior to the show too. There was a couple times when Gaetz tried to do the befriending buddy thing with Tucker and pull him in to the story a couple of times, or try to directly relate with him about having accusations of sexual, harassment or whatever. All I can say is this: Tucker went through a little bit of, somebody calling, shit on him a few years back. Had no connection though to sex trafficking or the like. So, I mean, he was really stretching there anyways. But it is interesting. Here's what I got to say about Gaetz. And I don't know if he's innocent or guilty. Obviously, we have no idea. I honestly hope for the best for anybody, but I think it's very strange that somebody of his, how do I want to say this? He's an outspoken conservative to the point where he knows he gets under the skin of almost every liberal, right? When you say, you could probably yell Matt Gaetz at like a liberal rally and people would start cringing and cussing and whatnot, right? So he's highly scrutinized from the left just because he is so vocal. Makes sense. This, vice versa with AOC with Republicans. You know what I mean? Everything she does is hyper criticized, all that kind of stuff. Why would you, as somebody like Gaetz, knowing this, do anything fucking shady and essentially give them a reason to fucking just blow you up here like this? I ask you.
I would say that narcissism. That's the classic answer, is that you won't get caught.
Was this always
no one will find out because you're so smart. You're so much smarter than everyone that you got this. It's a classic narcissistic behavior. Is he a narcissist? I don't know. I'm not a fucking shrink. I don't know him enough. But that's the thing that immediately jumps out is, why do people do things when they know that they're in the public spotlight? Is a lot of people do things because of fucking behavioral disorders to where they truly think it won't happen to them. I can drink and drive. Well, aren't you afraid of getting a DUI? No. That's for poor people or criminals or whatever. And then next thing you know, a celebrity's, getting a DUI, or, what's his name? Gordon, running back for the Broncos, right? Why don't you have a driver? Because I'll never get caught. Boom, you got DUI now. You know what I mean? It's that same type of behavior that people do it. That's the one thing that jumps out at me at that. And I do have a couple of things just to say in general about Matt Gaetz that I find interesting about this whole thing.
You're not a big fan.
Well, Matt Gaetz is a face of the GOP, a rising star, right? He's not a senator, but he could have been one the next time a Senate seat became available in Florida if he wanted to run at the direction he was going. He's traveling with Trump. He's really a Trumpian Republican. He went up to Wyoming and literally held a rally to Wyoming Republicans as to why they need to not elect Liz Cheney the next go around, right? Because she voted to impeach Trump and all this stuff, right? When he's a Florida representative going up to Wyoming in the middle of his active representation of Florida to campaign against another GOP,
while he's trafficking, adolescents too. I mean, the guy's busy. That's all I gotta say. Allegedly,
for sure.
Allegedly.
So he's a rising star in the GOP, and politics is so fucking fickle like this. I mean, you see it with Cuomo, right? So just last year.
Can I point this out too? Never been a friend of the show. So I mean, who's
never been a friend of the show?
Who's a good judge of character over here?
Just last year, there was talks about Cuomo potentially running for president.
I remember that after he wrote his "I'm So Great" memoir, during the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
And
100%.
he was a rising star in the Democratic Party. Now no one will touch that guy with a 10-foot pole in the Democratic Party. Even like everyone in his own state calling for him to resign, right? And naturally so with what's being levied against him. Matt Gaetz, same thing, rising star. That guy's star is quickly going to fade now because no one wants to touch this guy with a 10-foot pole, and he's right there. And that's how fast it happens that your party will abandon you, even if this comes as not true. The fact that it came out is enough to probably ruin this guy's political career. Now, so there's that part of the fickleness of party that I ponder during all this.
I just got to tell you again, this is a good cocktail.
But then the other side of that is, well, Biden's in office, so naturally, he's sicking the DOJ on Matt Gaetz. Not the case. So this investigation goes back from last year when Bill Barr was running the DOJ.
Hey, give him a little respect, William Barr, huh? Sounds
right.
Good, right? Sounds a little bit better than Bill.
Sorry.
You're a William Barr, the Attorney General for
the honorable William Barr, Attorney General
for the former President Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, so this investigation actually goes back during Trump's administration is when all this was going on and starting and going in, and the other guys getting arrested and all that, the main guy around this. So this isn't something that, the Biden administration just put together to go after political enemies as it might look like, unless you actually looked into this investigation a little bit, because it doesn't look great that the story comes out a couple months after Biden starts office. But again, I don't know if he's innocent or guilty. I just know that right now it fucking smells like shit. And usually when it smells like shit, it's not a fart.
No, somewhere there's a big pile of shit somewhere. It's like I asked my dog, where's the shit, Ziggy? You know what I mean? Like, where's it at, dude? Like, I can smell it. Show it to me. You know what I mean? Usually
the head goes down, the tail goes between the legs, and he just walks away all ashamed.
Where's the fucking shit, buddy? Well, I will say this too. I mean, again, this is kind of hearsay, but it is interesting that, and what I'm saying is the Bill Barr thing is not hearsay. What is hearsay is Bill Barr apparently has bad blood with Gaetz too, right? Doesn't like to be in the same room as him, the same event, tries to avoid the guy. Now, again, I can't prove or disprove that, but it was brought up. And I don't know how much stock I put into that the more that I say it, because there's a lot of people that have a vested interest, even if it's just personal vindication or whatever it is, to get rid of Matt Gaetz.
Even in the Republican Party.
Correct.
Because of his rising stardom.
Yes. And that is weird, right? It's almost like they will eat their own children kind of scenario. You know what I mean? There's no loyalty when it really comes down to it. Did you hear Kevin McCarthy too? He was like, yeah, if this is true, he definitely would be out. Meaning his seat that he has for, what is it?
His appointments. His
he's got
committees. His committee.
Yeah, he's got a pretty decent committee that he's with. That's a pretty big deal. I just can't remember. Something about, I think it's the House Oversight, committee or something like that. But yeah, he's
on the Judiciary Committee.
Yeah. Great. Fantastic.
So they pick judges. No big deal.
No big deal. Let's pick a judge that really doesn't care too much about sex trafficking and he likes them a little bit young, right?
Well, also Matt Gaetz voted against the last trafficking uh, law that was being proposed in the House.
But he voted yes on consent being dropped down to 14. That's weird.
So in 2017, there was a federal sex trafficking case. I think it was 2017.
Was that the one I was involved in?
It was a human trafficking bill in 2017.
That's the one I was involved in.
He was the only no vote in all of the House of Representatives. The only one. This bill passed 400 and something to 1, and Matt Gaetz was the only one.
That's interesting, man. Matt Gaetz. He's an interesting guy. Well, you know, here's what we did say a long time ago. If anybody can look it up, recall. You were right, though. Why is he a rising star? Look at the guy. Look at the guy. One thing I'll say, Bob. One thing I'll say about Matt Gaetz, in all seriousness, guy's got a great head of hair. He has a great head of hair. Do you see those waves, baby?
Oh, I know.
Fantastic.
No, and he's proud of it. He owns it, and he's even trumped it up a little bit over the last few years. If you look at the difference between the picture in your background and the picture in mine, like he's even like dolled it up a little bit and got a little bit more Trump style going.
Honestly, and not shitting on people that work in the pizza delivery industry or whatever, but the one in mine with the Quagmire one, it looks like he got Employee of the Month at Domino's or something like that. Like, then that's his picture right there. I mean, it's just a strange picture, kind of juvenile, but at the same time, still grown up, respectable. He's got his dad's clip-on tie on. You know what I mean?
And for those of you that aren't watching this on YouTube, I have a picture of Matt Gaetz sitting in his chair. It looks like in his committee appointment. But he
did a really good job on his hair this day too. He knew he was going to be on CNBC or no C-SPAN.
There's a caption on the bottom though, and I'll move out of the way for everyone.
Yeah, was it? Okay, let me read it. Ready? Here, it's like, reporter, what are your thoughts on Greta Thunberg? Gaetz, she's a little too old for me.
So just had to throw that out there. And the look on his face, look how serious he is about it.
But you know what it is? So it almost looks like a serious, confused look. If you combine him and Tucker Carlson looking like how he does mainly on the show, especially during that interview with him. I don't know what's going on. Look. Well, and you know, here's the tough part with that. Tucker has that look on his face. I almost think it's his game face, so to speak, right? When he's talking to somebody that doesn't like, he throws that face on right away. So that way, if that person glances.
Oh, like he's trying to not show his audience that he smelled them fart.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But I do think it's a game face, because I think if they were face to face and Tucker had that look on his face while Gaetz was trying to explain something to him that just obviously doesn't make a lot of sense, he'd be like, okay, I'm bullshitting. I'm bullshitting. So I took the 17-year-old to Epstein's Island. It was super fun,
But it's okay, guys. Don't worry. I prepaid, and I pay taxes on it.
Yeah, he's like, and I tipped the help. Okay. And I did it at 30%, not like those other douchebags that do 25 or even 20 or even 15, like you may all be thinking. Sorry. I decided to turn that into a quick infomercial. Oh my goodness. Well, hey, let me ask you this, Bob. Do you think this is going to end soon? Is this going to be drawn out? Or are we just going to wrap this little baby up pretty soon? Because it sounds like it's getting hot and heavy right now. But I don't know if it's going to just kind of dwindle, kind of burn out, or if he's going to have to face some real consequences.
It all depends on how many more clients they're trying to chase down off of the original person, right? If they've already got them all, but they're not famous and we don't know about them because it's not making news, then it's going to end. And it all depends. But since it's at this point of the investigation and they already have the head guy, it's not like they're using Gaetz to get to the head guy that was like trafficking these children, right? But if that's the case, then I would say that my logic says it's probably going to end soon. I would say in the next couple of months, this case is probably, being charged if there's evidence. And if there's not evidence enough to charge him with it, then that's pretty shitty. But the fact that this is hitting the news during an ongoing investigation tells me that there's probably evidence.
Well, I'll say this. I think Matt Gaetz, and this is why he was a former friend of the show as I continue to separate myself from him just more and
Just
more.
just back away slowly.
I'm literally like the meme and gif of Homer right now, where he starts backing into the evergreens. Where he's like,
I don't have to outrun the media. I just have to outrun Matt Gaetz.
and his hair is not aerodynamic. It's going to slow him down. I honestly think that he's an annoyance anyways. And I know some people really like him because he gets up and says exactly what extreme right people, Trumpers, want to hear. But I've always thought he was kind of an annoyance. And you know what? He's not even the biggest show in Florida. I think the governor's doing quite a good job there of building himself the pedigree and stats there to make a presidential run. So I think he goes away, he stays. It almost doesn't move the needle at all. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, he's not like the vote breaker in the House by any means, because it's still way heavily liberal run. So, neither here nor there. I hate to say it, but the old friend of the show is a drop in the bucket, and he's going to fade away without anybody really knowing. That's just my personal opinion. What's going to happen? What do you think, baby? You like that one?
Yeah. Same thing. I think he was banking on being a profile, like being a media profile, that I will make my political career off of being a news star. And then that's pretty much it, because he was he is a politician, but he spends just as much time being a politician as he does being like a Fox News correspondent, right? He's always on, and he's just toting the line. He's just toting the line of what they want to hear to keep him on the TV, to keep him on, to keep the ratings up, to keep the article or the piece that they're presenting saucy, right? That's what Matt Gaetz is. He goes and he gives that opinion that's going to cause headlines, and it seems like he has no real political position other than what's really going to grab the most attention. And I just don't. I think that's a short-lived strategy. I just don't think that's going to work in politics long term. I mean, ask Ted Cruz how that's working out.
Well, Ted Cruz is he's a different beast, that guy. I'll tell you what.
I think he's nearing the end. I really do.
Well, that's another show, Bob. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that at another time. I'll leave you with this with Gaetz here. I thought it was pretty funny. This is the only thing I'm going to mention, because with politicians, and we both know this from doing the show, and we've been more hypercritical of politicians since we've been doing the show, because we want to talk about them, right? We actually want to be educated on them. And what I've noticed is, married or single does not give you any kind of sway one way or another if you're guilty of sexual indiscretion or sexual adultery, or just promiscuous, being promiscuous, all that kind of stuff. I thought it was funny though that when I was watching CNN, they're like, well, so all this was accused of Matt Gaetz, who is not married. And I'm like, but is now engaged. And I'm like, that doesn't fucking matter. He's a politician. You know what I mean? He could be married for 30 years with 4 kids. These allegations would still make just as much sense if there's a weight in them in evidence. You know what I mean? Which I thought was kind of funny that they had to mention that. Like, it doesn't matter if he's single or not, dude. He's a politician. That negates automatically his marital status to being any kind of relevance.
Yeah, because it's not like he was out having some salacious affair with someone. He's allegedly paying for having sex with a minor. That's the issue. You could be married, you could be single. That's a
Jesus
problem.
Christ, Bob, what's going over there with that phone? Da 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 da.
All right.
All right, you're all right. All right. What happened?
Oh, Jess was smelling like a smell coming from the swamp cooler vent, and maybe it's the motor. I just got a new motor for it yesterday, so I just went and turned it off, and I told her I'd check it out after the show. We'll see. We don't want the house burning down.
No. That's definitely validation for taking a quick pause.
So, yeah. I mean, it's been a while since we've had a politician in a sex scandal. So on that side of things, it's refreshing after 2020 and all the nonsense that's gone on to get back to just a good old fashioned political sex scandal.
Hey, again, I don't want to sound too callous or strange or anything, but we've got mass shooters back. We got sex scandals. I think we're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to the craze and the hysteria over the pandemic. So there's that. But
things are coming back.
Mm-hmm,
things are coming back.
Whether that be good or bad, here we are. So if it's not one thing, it's this. It's sex scandals.
And sex scandals, really leads us to kind of the stiff truth topic, right? We wanted to talk about some of our favorite sex scandals over the years. And there's some really good ones. And researching this, there's some really good sex scandals. Not all of them are politicians. I think everyone gets it kind of blown up out of proportion with the politicians because of presidents, but there's better sex scandals than that's going on out there. Way better sex scandals. Presidents can't even hold a candle to the sex scandals that other celebrities have gotten themselves into.
This is very true.
What are some of your favorite sex scandals?
Well, I will tell you right now, Gates is not up there. He's not up there at all. This is rookie shit, if you ask me. All right. So if I'm going to go to the number one being kind of the most disgusting, that's how I'm seeing this right now. Not the most just sought after or sexy for sure. I'm going to say Woody Allen. I'm going to go ahead and say Woody Allen. I don't know if you remember this story, but 1992, Woody Allen is accused of having, I believe a sexual affair with his adopted daughter. And at that age 7, I believe was at the start of it, sexually molested her. And this was a big thing. This was a really big thing. So I'm going to probably say that tops it for me just because it's just way, way ridiculous. But what's crazy? If you talk to people right now and say, oh, you've seen the blah, blah, Woody Allen movies, the first thing that people say is not like, oh, he's this nasty bastard. He's like a pedophile type guy that banged his daughter. They don't say that. People don't say that. So I think it's interesting. I say it's number one because I think it's one of the most disgusting and nobody talks about it anymore.
I mean, he married her. Does that count?
Well, I could say he shows follow through and commitment. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure.
It's like the problem is I lived in California and not in Alabama. Oh, sorry, Alabama Knights, but the Florida people probably love that one.
Well, so that's a big one. That's a big one for me.
So I was just kind of thumbing through the best sex scandals, and I found this interesting one that just made me. I don't know. It's so morbid, but it made me laugh so hard. I felt like a real asshole, but that makes sense because I'm a real asshole. So there's a famous
Bob West.
There's a famous comedian around 100 years ago, right? His name was Fatty Arbuckle. He was famous for being fat, morbidly obese. And honestly, he's fat, but he's nothing by today's fat standards. He wouldn't be on the 600-pound, TLC show. But back in the 20th century, when there wasn't a lot of fat people, because we didn't process our foods then, it was he supposedly crushed a woman.
Oh my!
To death while having sex to her. Leading to 3 public trials that destroyed him and his career. So, Sorry, I don't know why it's so funny to me, but so anyway, he allegedly was having sex with a lady and just buried the needle.
Jesus Christ. Wow. You know, it's interesting that you're laughing so hard too. You're probably going to go to some place called hell if that exists or whatever. But you're right. It's just as bad. Well, I'll tell you what, another one that really came to mind for me here. And this was a big surprise, I'm sure, to everybody back in the day, but I think for some weird reason it was still kind of glazed over. Do you remember it was late 90s, 1997, when Eddie Murphy was found with a what I believe is a transsexual prostitute, and I believe ended his current marriage at that time. So,
Which is interesting because if it happened today, he would just be like, "Well, I'm pan and fluid and all that."
he'd be hailed. Actually, he'd be like, "I'm lifting up this community."
I'm still having an affair on my wife, but
I saw an indiscretion. I saw,
but
yeah.
back in the day, that was much more salacious than it is now.
Oh, dude, that's when the term tranny was popular, mainstream. I don't believe you can say that anymore. That
And
somebody's a tranny.
I believe the same thing within a year or two happened to Hugh Grant too.
Well, and here's the other interesting thing about Hugh Grant. I don't know who Eddie Murphy was married to. I'm not even going to act like I do, but I know Hugh Grant was married to Elizabeth Hurley in the 90s, who I believe was probably the supermodel for probably a good 10 years around this time frame. That to me just blows my mind. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it there, Bob. You know what I mean? Because again, with these people that have it all, it does not behoove me that they're going to do something outlandishly crazy just because they can and they're sick of the regular and they've got it all day or what have you. But yeah, that's another big one right there. That was a big one. Do you remember who what was it? It was a big deal just because she took it so well. Sandra Bullock, her husband, Jesse James, like the biker dude. Do you remember that?
Yeah. It's actually right here. She was married to America's sweetheart, Sandra Bullock, at least until it came that he had been nailing a heavily tattooed possible Nazi sympathizer named Michelle McGee
wait,
on the side.
Hold on. Let's just back this up a couple of paces here. You said something that really perked me up on this one that made the story a little more interesting, a little bit more dynamics here. So he cheated on probably the equivalent with niceness and wholesomeness to Steve Carell for a female, Sandra Bullock. He cheats on her with a Nazi sympathizer or an actual Nazi.
Yeah, a nice white supremacist tattooed girl.
One that you take home to mama.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug, man.
Wow. Woof.
So there's also a couple more of that really we just need to talk about.
Nah, please throw it out there. Please throw it out.
Do you remember the time that Jerry Springer got caught with a hooker because he wrote her a check and the check fucking bounced?
Oh Jesus. Well, which honestly doesn't make any sense, because one thing I know that Jerry was doing in the 90s is he was banging. I mean, he was raking in the dough. But let me ask you this: when did this happen?
Ooh, I'm not sure when it happened. Give me another good one and I'll find out.
Sexual scandal here. I mean, if we're going political, we might as well just talk about it. Okay. I think Bubba Bill getting a beach in the Oval Office repeatedly from Monica Lewinsky is a big one, right? I mean, that was probably the biggest public facing sexual scandal in the late 20th century, I would say. Wouldn't you?
I don't know. I don't know.
Right now. He's reading right now.
It was definitely salacious.
It was fallacious too. You know what I'm saying?
It was definitely fallacious. It was definitely cigar-lacious. It looks like it was in the 70s. Jerry Springer.
Oh, this is when Jerry
he was on the Cincinnati City Council when that happened.
Naturally. Oh, it's funny that you mentioned that. A friend of mine, his father, met Jerry Springer in I want to say Chicago O'Hare Airport in the 80s. And he was, at that time, I believe he was the mayor of Cincinnati or something like that. Huge piece of shit. Totally rude guy. Totally just like in your face, like just just horrible piece of shit. And I was like, that's interesting. And I was told this in the mid 90s. So when he was super, super popular on the, would you call it the daytime television circuit? Like what are we doing there when you're on at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock or something like that? But yeah, like when he ruled the daytime television airwaves, him and Bob Barker, piece of shit. Are you surprised?
Not at all. Just
Mhm.
not at all.
Yeah.
So there's a couple more funny ones, right? So there's Anthony Weiner, which is
Well, I
funny
think
enough.
that's all you have to really say, and that he took a dick pic, and that his name is Anthony.
Well,
Weiner.
so Anthony Weiner got in trouble for posting naked pictures online, probably profiles, dating sites, whatever, right? So he got caught with it. He actually recovered and maintained his position, and then got caught again doing the same thing afterward. So he got caught twice for posting dick pics.
So he literally pulled a Britney Spears, and he did it again. Oops,
Now,
he did it
the
again.
funniest thing is, it says the unfortunately named politician gained notoriety when it was discovered that he had been sending inappropriate photos of himself online. And even after he had managed to survive the initial blowback, he did it again. This time under the hilarious moniker Carlos Danger. That's awesome. Are you kidding me?
I don't even know if I like him more now or if I like him a lot more now. You know what I mean?
What about the time that Pee Wee Herman got arrested for masturbating in an adult theater?
Is that really a sexual scandal? I thought about that. That's sex with yourself. I guess technically that makes sense if you want to really get down to the 2020 version of things. So I don't know though.
I want to know what he got arrested for. Because it was it like public masturbation? Was that a crime? Is that a crime where he was arrested? It was in Florida.
It was either indecent exposure or public masturbation. I believe that is a legit crime. Like you can't just pull out your dick and start beating it off in front of a girl. You just can't do
So do cops like catch the subway in New York and just like go looking for the weirdos that just like masturbate on the subway?
I would imagine.
Or is it only in like sex clubs and adult cinemas where they go find these guys?
Well, see, to me, that kind of seems like entrapment. Like, what are you doing here, bro? Like, you're dangling a piece of cheese here in this fucking trap for for a mouse, and it's kind of the same thing. Like, what do you? Okay, let me just ask you this. I know apparently, and I say this because I say apparently, I've never been in like a peep show kind of deal, like the tokens and whatnot. I've never been to an X-rated theater. I honestly, I didn't even think they really existed anymore past like 2000 or something. But so I'm not actually sure the caliber of people that are usually there. I'm just not going to assume
And
things.
do they sell like little like paper things to sit on the seats because it's disgusting, like they do in the bathrooms, a little ass gasket?
Dispose disposable seat covers, obviously, make sure
You
you're not.
just set it on top of the other seat cover because it's obviously still stuck to the seat.
They're lick and stick, bro. They're lick and stick. They're fine. But no, I'm where I'm going with this obviously is I don't know if that's just not a thing that normally happens, right? Like that's not like an already agreed upon thing that will be happening. Like, hey, dude, okay, so today's your first day at the theater, bro. Yeah, it's not a bad gig, man. Actually, bro. I mean, it's actually a lot less crowded than a normal theater, which is kind of nice, dude. There's not a lot of people that you got to clean up after. No big deal. But occasionally, like when you're walking up and down the aisles and shit, you're gonna get a load in your face. It's just gonna happen because everybody's beating off. I don't know what the disclaimers are, or if that even is like reality driven or at all. But you would think that is kind of what happens in those kind of situations, right? So I don't know. I don't even understand that one. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't get it. I don't get why that's a bad thing.
I don't get what you're doing in there either. Obviously, this was a time before internet was on your phone.
Well, let me tell you what I was doing in there. So when I was in there, I thought to myself, yeah, I need to pull one off real quick. So I thought I'd stop in here. There's some cool shit that's really big on the screen. Oh, you weren't asking me.
So Andrew Cuomo isn't the first New York governor to get himself embroiled in some sex scandal, right? Or at least some harassment scandal, right? So if you remember a former New York governor by the name of Elliot Spitzer, does that ring a bell?
You know what's funny? When you look up sex scandal on Google, he's one of the first things that pops up. He's a good one. He's a big
Elliot
one.
Spitzer spent $80,000 of like campaign funds on prostitutes. You got to love the brass that takes. This
Well,
guy has no fear.
no, and that's a big pro in my book. You know what I mean? For caliber of their character, no fear, just dives into things and resourceful. That's the other thing I'm going to say right there. Very resourceful.
Yeah, and frugal. Just I need a hooker. Oh, how much are they? I don't know. My campaign money pays for it. So obviously as far as sex scandals go, they're probably one of the biggest ones ever in the history of everything is probably Michael Jackson.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many? Which one?
Uh,
Just
all of them.
his catalog? Are you
He-
envious of the catalog?
He has quite the catalog of settled lawsuits.
I want to
Of
say
underage, of minors, of
yeah, it's
like young boys.
we know Macaulay's in there, right? But we also wasn't Corey Feldman, Corey Haim frequented his house a lot. Geez, there's a handful of kids.
I don't know. There was a lot of child stars that did go to Michael Jackson's ranch. I mean, it's one of those things similar to Matt Gates, right? If it smells like
Wait,
shit,
what?
if it smells like shit, someone probably shit. Michael Jackson never got caught, but it was just allegation after allegation after settled lawsuit after settled lawsuit. So I think it's fair to say that he, molested some little boys, allegedly.
What's crazy though is it is fair to say that. I think almost everybody has that understanding that is history. But yeah, he never served any time or paid for any. Well, he did pay. He did pay. No, he did do some.
Yeah, it
stuff.
was all civil lawsuits. There was never a criminal investigation that led to charges.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But that's because I would imagine because the civil lawsuit settled and the charges were dropped.
It's usually what happens with those civil lawsuits, man. Is you'll throw a number at them and it won't be enough, and you'll throw a bigger number at them and it usually will. There's nothing
Well,
wrong.
there's eventually a number that's big enough to set your family up and people jump on the grenade.
That's what I always say. No matter what happens, when I go after somebody's money, I was like, I need to make sure that my, all my pain and suffering is paid for. I literally need to wipe my tears away with $1,000 bills. Do they make $1,000 bills? Because I want them. I want them here right now. I'm gonna wipe my ass with them.
You could probably have them made, if not like
Have them made.
Barrett bonds or something, like $1,000 bills.
Who's the most lenient mint? There's a mint in Denver. Let me call them up, see if they'll make me some G bills.
There's also Roman Polanski that has an active rape of a 13-year-old that they're waiting for him and lives.
He's a French
Europe.
citizen. Oh yeah, he's a French citizen or something like that, right? Because he left the United States a long time ago because of these allegations.
He lives in a country that won't extradite him, and he won't come back to the U.S.
Hey, everybody, look that up because sounds like a really good country to live in. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Not that you have to do bad things to have that, but if they got your back that much, that's pretty fucking cool. But can you shed some light for everybody here? Because I don't know if everybody knows who Roman Polanski is.
So he's a director, kind of like Woody Allen. So he's a director, but he
right?
He got not even just accused, but he got convicted of raping a 13-year-old girl. And when he was out on, bail awaiting his sentencing or whatever, he bailed and left the country. And that was in 1977, and he has not been back since.
Wow. It was interesting, Bob. I was making jokes there, and then you said rape a 13-year-old girl, and all the jokes stopped. It's just wow. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, somebody still not. But yeah, he's in a really interesting situation though. You can't do anything to him unless he makes a move. And how old is he now? He's got to be in his 70s, right? 70s, 80s?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, he's got to be old. I know he's still directing.
That's crazy. Who's working in his movies? This is a different show altogether
here. Pretty famous people, and same as Woody Allen, it gets a lot of blowback.
Interesting.
So he is 87.
Okay.
Pretty
Well,
crazy.
wow. Do you think oh, can I say this in summary then here, just from chit chatting a little bit here about this? Creepy ass pedophile directors take the cake, and this weird fucked up ranking we have.
Yeah, I would say that and Michael Jackson.
It's like just battling out there for the
I
number
mean,
one spot.
yeah. If you're trying to do battle with like how bad of a fucking piece of shit you are sexually, then yeah.
I think that was the point of our conversation, though, right? We're talking about when we say, and I hope everybody knows when me and Bob say, "What's the best sex scandal?" It's not like our favorite, like we hang the poster on the wall in our room of like the play-by-play of it. No, it's the
I'll
most.
take that down then.
Leave your picture of Matt Gates and his family up there. No, but it's the one that takes the cake, man. The one that blows her socks off. That we can't believe that this has really happened. Wow.
I don't know. I think I have a new winner after just like reviewing all of this, because I don't know if it gets better than Fatty Arbuckle fucking crushing a woman.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I think that's probably the best here. But
that's not even a scandal. It's just that he just suffocated this woman.
well,
like dude, if you're that big, like there's nothing wrong with a woman getting on top, because you have physical limitations that could cause dangers in the bedroom.
so are you? It's a sad story, Bob, but it sounds like you literally figured out that if he just wasn't so dominant, everything would have been okay.
Yeah, he had control issues. he's just
And there you
gotta
go, folks.
he's just gotta get into that sub role and accept it. The tickling will end at some point, just go ahead and let them climb up on Mount Fatty. But yeah, that's probably
I think you
the
heard it here
craziest
first,
sex
folks, that,
story in Hollywood in the last 100 years, for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. Don't be too aggressive, because you could snuff somebody out by your butt cheeks and your weight. I don't know. I don't even know how to sum that up to something concise that makes sense to like put on a sticker or a bumper sticker or something. I don't know. But you're right.
You didn't realize that she was breathing? Well, she was still making noise. Of a gurgling noise doesn't count, Fatty.
That's horrible. Oh my.
You heard him. He
Oh,
blamed
my.
you. Son of a bitch.
It's okay. It's the last thing he said if you count the gurgling sound. Wow.
Oh, straight to hell, dude. Straight to hell. That's where I'm headed.
Yeah, I'll join you there, man. And I'll say with that, I think we're done here, bud. I think we're gonna wrap this one up, man. I don't know about you, but this was fun. Did you have a good time?
It always is.
You
Happy
wanna do it again?
Easter. Happy Easter, stiffies.
Yes.
Happy Eostre to you pagan stiffies out there.
Yes. And again, guys, thanks for joining us. Get in there, like and subscribe. Check us out on all the podcast platforms. If you want to actually help out the show, there's Patreon. We've talked about it before. I'm not gonna beat it up here. Enjoy the rest of your Easter weekend, and we'll see you guys again next week.
That's right. Fatties, stay on bottom.